doing well as we prepare for game number 2. We're at Southern Miss, a program and a head coach I have a lot of respect for, I've become very familiar with over the years for his tremendous work as an offensive mind, as a head coach as well. And he certainly has some really good football players. Watching our film, certainly we have our own things that we have to get better at, and we went right to work on that yesterday. Starting with, from an injury standpoint, we came out relatively clean, the guys that got dinged up. And both Jakai and Leonard Taylor, we feel really good about. We don't feel like they have anything significant. We feel like Jaylan Knighton's on his way back to being able to play this weekend. We feel the same about Zion. We both practiced some yesterday. Obviously a lot to talk about, but I will open up the questions, so we'll go from there.
Coach, let me ask you about the QB contained defensive, from a defensive standpoint. Is that an area, I guess, after watching film that?
Yeah, well, you watched, that's obvious, right? I mean, sure, we lost contain on 3rd and 25, and what else? 3rd and 25 was more than the under route, but on several 3rd downs, right? Not having the discipline to stay on the upfield shoulder and not creating enough of a pocket collapse to allow the quarterback enough wiggle room to get on out of there. When you practice against your own team, a lot of the times you're very adamant about staying off the quarterback and create some bad habits. And we're going to have to ramp that up in the sense of using a live target, not our own quarterback, somebody else we can close on the passer better and finish on him better. And then another time was just a flat out bust, right? We had 2 guys in the B gap and that thing got out the C to our left, and certainly issues that we're working to fix.
Mario, the offensive line, I know obviously you've been rotating a lot of guys there, but it looked like those 5 starters had some good chemistry together. Just your thoughts on their performance?
They did well. They did what they were supposed to do. But the part that we were excited about, that our fits were good, our footwork was good, so was our half position. We played with a flat back for the most part. Protection, there were only a couple of breakdowns and a couple too many, all right, but we kept the pocket clean and made it a comfortable pocket for Tyler and Jake and to throw from. So, and there's a lot of room for growth. Some of our angles on the wide zone stuff, on the pin and pull stuff could have been better. Some of our back watch stuff could have been better. But our finish, our second effort plays, the number count was relatively high to what we try to achieve. So a solid start and lots to grow from.
And you played some young guys, obviously got in there. We saw Cooper and what's your thoughts on their first game?
Cooper's going to be a great one, and Cooper's going to contribute a lot this year. At 355 pounds, he moves like he's about 300, reshaped his body. Here's a guy that, he was a priority guy from the moment we arrived here in Coral Gables back in December. And knowing his coaches, Coach LeBeau, Coach Cox really well back there in Alabama. And he is everything that they said he would be and more. Tremendous pride, toughness, great hips and hands, athletic, finishes blocks. It's a lot of pride in everything he does. And the same could be said about Matthew McCoy. Matthew McCoy got in there and did a fantastic job as well. Chris Washington got in there and did a great job. Big Oos did a great job as well. Lawrence Seymour performed well. Jonathan Dennis was called to go with the ones and he did well. So we didn't see a letdown in terms of effort, in terms of toughness. Certainly those guys are all at the level of that first string O-line, but it was good to see that we could plug in those parts and sustain some good football.
7 rushing touchdowns. What stood out to you most from Parrish, Franklin, and the walk-on backs who had some good impact?
Vision was good for the most part. The reads were correct. Missed a couple. Our downfield blocking, both at all 3 positions, the O-line, the tight ends, and the wide receivers, with some more, I would say, more gut, more string. We could pop some, turn some 6 and 7 yard runs into 20, 25 yard runs. So there's a lot of meat left on the bone there that we want to go and get. But these guys, they ran hard, they run tough, and when our backs get downhill, we're a good offense, and we're hard to stop, and it makes 3rd down very manageable. I think we had 1 3rd and 8, the rest were like 4s and 5s and 2s and 1s, and when you have that, coach, guys can really dial it up, right, and make play calling just a lot more effective, productive, and that was the story of the day pretty much, living in good 3rd down situations.
Mario, what did you think of the linebacker play on Saturday, particularly in pass coverage?
It was hot and cold. They found some soft spots in our defense. Felt like we certainly didn't, we weren't as consistent as we had been in practice. Felt like in practice we were really just nothing, stuff, just closing on stuff a lot quicker. Thought our drops were more disciplined, thought our physicality was better. I would say more consistent, because we did have some bright moments on defense, and then other times they got behind us, you know, they beat us in coverage. We certainly gave up some shots and some explosive plays that is, we really worked on and felt good about. Didn't show up on the game time as consistently as it should. So, and you address it and you attack it, you elevate the level of competition, and you make sure that you can do things that you're capable of doing. So we got to be able to install stuff and call it too. You know, you can't be too simple and you can't be too complex. You got to fall right in the middle there. We thought we did, but it wasn't good enough, not up to the standard. So.
Corey Flagg, particularly, you guys, I think he was defensive player of the game. What did you like? Can you just highlight what you liked about him? He
Graded out well, you know, assignment wise, calls, making adjustments, had some good tackles as well. Played a really solid game.
Mario, Devon Perry, is he a walk-on or does he have a scholarship?
Yes, ma'am, he's a walk-on.
He's a walk-on. I know he scored a touchdown.
Yes.
That had to be thrilling for him. Can you say anything about him and playing the walk-ons?
Just a tough guy, a really conscientious, great teammate, unselfish guy. He's done it all. He's played wide receiver for us. He's jumped in at running back. You know him, Terrell Walden, and I believe Lucius Stanley. Lucius was here for about 8 hours, and he got a couple carries and a touchdown. So all those guys, we didn't skip a beat. You know, credit to them, credit to the offensive line. All in all, just very excited about the progress of those guys, knowing that those guys are going to give us some quality playing time and good depth at a position that got banged up early.
want to ask you about Frank Gore Jr. Just what you've seen from him on tape.
He's a stud. Leads the country, right? Yards per game. So far was about 180 yards per game. Patient runner and great. You know, he's got the great ones that these right here. They see it, they feel it. They're patient. They know when to hit it, when to throttle, and when they finish, they finish. He's a contact plus 2 and 3 yard type of guy. First guy really brings him down. Very versatile. Obviously, they use him in all kinds of stuff, right? In the Wildcat, chuck the ball around. Also, he's a good receiver as well. So, really dangerous football player, really good football player. You know, we all know who he reminds us of. So.
Key Messidor plays on the inside, plays on the edge. How would you evaluate his first performance?
Excellent football player, and really was the best defensive player on the field for us on Saturday. You know, Akeem is, number one, he's natural. Okay, he understands the game really well. He's physical, very tough, and he's very heavy-handed. If you watch tape, you get a chance to watch it again, watch when he puts hands on guys and the way he's able to get separation and disengage, right, block destruction, and still close on ball carriers, close on quarterbacks, be disruptive, defeat blocks, defeat double teams, and then the versatility to go inside as well. That makes him a really, makes him a dangerous player, makes him a really impactful player for us. So fired up for him, and the best part about him, he's hungry. He feels like he didn't play anywhere near his best. So, you know, some great days ahead for him and for our defense because of him.
And some of the younger players on that defense, like Marquise Williams, what's he saying? How do you think they played in the fourth quarter?
Really excited about Wesley now. Wesley is showing why we went after him so hard in recruiting. Wesley's an explosive guy that's really instinctive. You know, being a freshman and a freshman linebacker is not the easiest thing in the world. He's picking it up fast, and we are racing to get him as ready as possible on a daily basis, heck, on an hour-by-hour basis. That's how impactful we think he can be. So, the moments that he had on Saturday are an indication of what what he's going to be. You know, it's on us to get him prepared, to get him ready, and get him more playing time. Did a great job on special teams as well. You mentioned somebody else. I apologize.
Marquise Williams.
Yeah, did a good job as well. Got a bright future. Got to put some more weight on him. Skinny dude, but he is fast. He's a good young man. He's learning a lot. Had his ups and downs in camp, but that's what it's all about. Teaching moments, help a guy get better, and we have confidence that he's going to be a really good player.
For freshmen, obviously, like you can teach them all you can in practice, but how much does just the first game experience kind of help as just an educational process for guys like that?
Yeah, you do your best. You are the pressure as a coach. The pace of practice tempo, the intensity, right? The level of accountability that you create in practice, that has to make up for, you know, the crowd, the stadium, game day, the noise, all that stuff. That has to get our guys ready to the point internally and mentally, so when they walk in that stadium, that all those external factors don't mean as much. So we feel the process that we have can get guys ready and expedite their acclimation, I would say, as it relates to all that external stuff. So yeah, you know, and some guys, you know how it goes over the years, right? Some guys, they thrive under the lights, and some guys, it freezes them, right? Paralysis by analysis, and all of a sudden it's too much, and they got to go back to the drawing board and restart them. But I think our freshmen, for the most part, the way the older guys, and credit to them, have taken them under their wing and have pushed them and held them accountable, it's given them a leg up on some of these processes. And overall, we're pleased with their process. And as you see, we're trying to infuse them into all the special teams as well as on offense and defense. The more they're on the field and they understand angles, you know, and hat position and getting guys on the ground and blocking and all that stuff, the quicker we could get them into our systems on offense and defense.
When you give players a grade, what is the purpose? Does it affect playing time, or is it just on get put on the report card? What is the purpose of giving grades?
What is the purpose of grading someone? Number one is always to assess performance, right? No different than you would in the classroom when you're taking a class and you study and you want to learn a particular, I don't know, jump into a particular career, and you want to become an expert in your field. Well, this is their craft, and we grade them on performance, on technique, and on effort, right? Because sometimes guys can play, can get the job done, but if they're not playing against a player that is as capable as them or as talented as them, they might get away with poor technique. And they need to know that, because if it's not good enough when you lose a game, it shouldn't be good enough if you win a game, right? Technique and fundamentals are going to be key and are going to be what shows up in the fourth quarter, right? Along with your conditioning. So the effort obviously is tied into conditioning. Your technique and your fundamentals are tied into your technique grade, and actually getting the job done is tied into your performance grade. That allows us to track our guys and how they are performing, and also what are they performing against. Are we running against a veer, you know, triple option team? Are we running against an air raid team, a pro set team, a tempo team? And we get to gauge and assess who excels at what, who has deficiencies against what, and now we could better construct our plan throughout the season when we set up our rotations.
Mario, I guess in the last few days, we've seen how important special teams is in some of these games, including yours. Can you talk about some of the players who impressed you, maybe Jake, and I know you said something about Keyshawn, but in the NFL, what did you see?
Two players that are head and shoulders right now above the rest. Obviously, you saw Andy, the way he kicked. I mean, if you have 10 touchbacks, that's a difference maker right there. Our average field position started at the 47-yard line. If you do that and you make their average field position to 25, that's a lot of hidden yardage right there. Right, what did Bill Parcells used to say, every 80 yards of hidden yardage is about 6 points? That could be wrong, but it's somewhere in a book somewhere. But either way, and then the other one is Chase Smith. Chase Smith was an exceptional special teams player, just about every phase. Just explosive, dynamic, smart, tremendous effort. You know, it's earned him more opportunities on the field on the defense as well. Those two guys really stand out. And obviously Keyshawn, you know, we didn't know we were going to get back there. And he, you know, it's when you're a kickoff returner, you either hit it or you don't. If you don't hit it and you stutter your feet, you're asking for an awful experience. And he certainly hit the gas, and when he did, he went. Almost scored on one of them, right? And the other one just set up. I mean, to me, it's right away, it grabbed the momentum and allowed us to sustain the momentum with his first return of the game.
Quarterback play, what was your assessment of?
Quarterback? Corner?
Defense, yeah.
Hot and cold. Hot and cold. Technically oriented as well. We got sloppy with technique. You know, we're attacking and addressing it. Got to be better. Everything from leverage to eye discipline to hands, feet, hips, all that stuff. We got to be better.
Hey, Mario,
And I trust that we will.
I don't think we got a chance to ask you, obviously the college football playoff news, the expansion of that, and just the way maybe, you know, it could be as early as 24, they're saying, just the way maybe it speeds up the clock and that kind of stuff.
What I feel about it?
Yeah.
Is that the question? Oh, I think it's awesome. I think anytime you get involved. I mean, number one, I love the bowl system. I do. I've always been a fan, always will be a fan. And I think the more more you incentivize the postseason, it's always good for college football. And the fact that I believe some of these games will be played at home sites as well. I mean, that's what the NFL does, right? You know, and I feel like college football always eventually mirrors the NFL, right? So I feel like now this part is catching up as well. I think it's all good, you know. I mean, we don't talk about it or whatnot, right? All our, you know how we roll already, man. Our entire focus is on getting ready for this practice and making our team play really well.
Elijah Arroyo used a lot as an H-back on Saturday. How has he grown as a run blocker from year 1 to year 2?
Oh, big. Number one, he changed his body, right? I don't know what he weighed when he first got here. I remember watching him in high school, looked more like a wide receiver. And he's a naturally big guy. If you look at him, he is wide, right? He's got good size hips. He's explosive. But he played wide receiver so much, you always play with a narrow base. Now, you start becoming an inline tight end, you got to start owning that C gap, or you're that wing and you got to knock out people in the D. It's a different world, right? It's half position, it's hands, it's low to high, all that stuff that I bore you guys with all the time. But, you know, when embracing that role is difficult. And I like to go back to, let's go back to the days of Jeremy Shockey, right? You know, Jeremy Shockey was allergic to blocking when he first got here, right? And all of a sudden, man, that guy is just knocking people back and finishing blocks down the field. Bubba Franks was an exceptional blocker, and it helped them, you know, have some very long careers and made them very versatile and dynamic football players, both as a blocker and as a receiver. And Elijah has now taken that step as a player, so it's fun to watch. But you know, all right, I know I'm gonna get a call later about him being allergic to blocking. He was one of the most. And I was a graduate assistant. That's one of the best players ever to be around in a practice. That guy did not understand the word walk through 100 miles per hour.
I don't know if we've asked you about Logan Sagapolo.
Yes.
Is there a stat?
Yeah, his was a minor tweak, you know, a soft tissue injury. He practiced yesterday. We expect him to be full speed by this week, you know, and he was practicing really well, playing good football for us. So, you know, him and Zahn were guys that, you know, even though we performed well, you know, you want to be at full strength, and we expect those guys to be at full strength this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Coach.
Good? Anybody else? Good? Guys, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.